You know, when you go to the movies
Right.
and you're sitting there and you see something just terrifying or really tragic happen on the screen, your first instinct is never to like jump out of your seat, sprint up to the front of the dark theater, and try to physically wrestle with the canvas, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one does that.
Right. You don't punch the screen hoping to change the ending of the film.
No, because that would be entirely irrational. I mean, you'd just be clawing at a flat, blank piece of fabric.
Exactly.
The image isn't originating there. The screen itself has no power. It's just faithfully reflecting whatever's being projected onto it from the back of the room.
Yes, exactly. If you actually wanted to change what was happening on that canvas, you wouldn't touch the fabric at all. You would have to,
Wow.
well, you'd have to walk all the way back, go up the stairs, break into the projection booth, and physically change the film reel itself.
Right. You have to change the source.
But the crazy thing is, when it comes to our actual lives, we spend almost all of our time clawing at the screen.
Oh, totally.
All the time. We fight our circumstances, we wrestle with our bank accounts, we argue with our relationships, we stress over our health issues, we are just constantly exhausting ourselves trying to manipulate the external projections of our lives.
It is the ultimate human exhaustion,
Mhm.
honestly. We are caught in this relentless loop of trying to rearrange the reflections in a mirror without ever actually changing the object standing in front of it.
Which is exactly why you are sitting at the table with us today.
Yeah.
You, the listener, are the third person in this conversation today, and we are going entirely off the deep end into the ultimate projection booth, which is your own mind.
The only projection booth that matters.
Right. We're opening up a text from 1939 by Neville Goddard. It's titled At Your Command. And I want to set a rule for us right up front.
Okay, lay it on us.
We are treating this strictly as an architectural blueprint for human psychology. We aren't doing like a historical or orthodox religious reading here. We are decoding a deeply uncompromising model of reality.
Uncompromising is really the perfect word for it. I mean, you have to remember, Goddard wrote this during the tail end of the Great Depression.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah, this wasn't written in a time of excess.
Mhm.
It was written when people were literally standing in bread lines. And yet, his philosophy turns everything we think we know about causality and reality completely upside down. He totally bypasses the external world.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because Goddard doesn't ease you in with comforting platitudes. He doesn't hold your hand.
Not at all.
He opens the book with a massive swing. His opening thesis is just a direct question. He asks, can man decree a thing and have it come to pass?
And his answer is incredibly definitive.
Yeah, he says, most decidedly he can. He states that man has always decreed that which has appeared in his world, is today decreeing it, and will continue to do so as long as man is conscious of being man.
It's a breathtaking assertion. But, we have to define our terms immediately here because our listeners are well-versed in the modern, somewhat watered-down interpretations of things like the law of attraction.
Right, the mainstream version.
Exactly. When we hear the word decree today, our modern minds immediately picture like vision boards or chanting positive affirmations or standing in front of a mirror yelling, I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire.
Oh, yeah. The whole, the secret phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly that.
And what makes this 1939 text so vital is how aggressively Goddard attacks those exact modern practices. He warns that you do not command things to appear by your words or loud affirmations. In fact, he argues that such vain repetition usually confirms the exact opposite of what you want.
What's fascinating here is the psychological mechanics of why those affirmations fail and how Goddard redefines the actual act of a decree. Decreeing, he argues, is done entirely in consciousness.
Not in words.
Right, not in words. It is an underlying silent state of being. He uses a really brilliant, striking example in the text. He talks about a dumb man, meaning a person who is physically mute and cannot speak. That person doesn't need to use words to be conscious of his limitation. He doesn't have to vocally affirm, I cannot speak. He just is conscious of it. That quiet, internal, persistent awareness of his state. That is the decree itself.
Man, I love that example because it instantly separates the physical action from the internal feeling. But I have to push back here, or at least play devil's advocate for a second for the listener.
Go for it.
If I write down I am confident 50 times a day in a manifestation journal, Goddard is saying that cognitive repetition just doesn't work. It's completely useless.
Well, think about it this way. If your underlying state, like your central nervous system, your deep-seated belief, is vibrating with insecurity, while your hand writes, I am confident, what you are actually decreeing is insecurity.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. Reality, in Goddard's model, does not speak English.
Right.
It doesn't read your journal. It only mirrors your raw consciousness. So if you are shouting at the mirror, stand up straighter, while you are physically slouching, the mirror can only reflect a slouching person who is currently yelling.
That cognitive dissonance is exactly what trips people up.
Exactly.
You're trying to force the external world to give you permission to feel a certain way. You want the mirror to stand up straight first so that you can feel tall.
Right. And Goddard says, no, you bear 100% of the creative burden internally. You have to stand up straight first, which leads him to make a claim about the Bible that fundamentally changes how we interact with it.
Yeah, this part is wild.
He tells the reader to look at the Bible not as a historical record of an ancient civilization, and not as like a biography of Jesus or Moses, but as the greatest psychological drama ever written. He claims it takes place entirely within the human mind.
Just to pause on that, that is huge.
It's massive.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Goddard's true genius lies. He strips away the history to reveal the neurology, in a sense.
The neurology of the Bible.
Yeah. If the Bible is a map of human consciousness, then these epic ancient stories like the Exodus, the Promised Land, the miracles, they aren't historical events that happened to people thousands of years ago. There are psychological shifts happening inside of you right now.
Okay, so when we talk about moving from Egypt to the Promised Land, we aren't talking about geography at all.
Not at all. In this psychological model, the barren deserts of Egypt represent a state of bondage.
Like being stuck.
Exactly. It's when you feel trapped by your circumstances, crushed by debt, or overwhelmed by illness. It is psychological slavery to the external screen. Canaan, on the other hand, the Promised Land, is the internal state of fulfillment. It's freedom. It's the wish fulfilled. Moving from Egypt to Canaan is the journey of migrating your own consciousness from a state of lack to a state of having.
If we truly accept that our internal state is projecting this reality, if this entire drama happens inside our own skull, the immediate, somewhat terrifying realization is that the external God we've been begging for help doesn't exist out there. We have to completely redefine who the creator actually is in this framework.
And that is the pivotal realization of the text. Goddard points out that human institutions, churches, and priesthoods, they completely disagree on the identity of God. But he argues that Moses and the ancient prophets were actually in perfect accord.
Which is?
According to Goddard, Moses discovered God's true identity to be one very specific thing: man's awareness of being.
Man's awareness of being. And he pulls from the original text to back this up, right? When Moses asks God for his name at the burning bush, the answer isn't a human name. It's, I am hath sent me unto you. Just, I am.
Right. The pure, unconditioned awareness of existence. Or like when David's saying, be still and know that I am God.
The linguistic shift there is just profound when you really look at it. Goddard points out that in the New Testament, it doesn't say, I, Jesus, am the way. It doesn't say, I, Jesus, am the door. It says, I am the way.
Exactly. The fundamental knowing that you exist, the very feeling of being alive before you attach any labels, like your name, your age, or your job to yourself, that raw awareness is the door through which all manifestations of life pass into the world of form.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Goddard then tackles one of the most confusing theological statements ever written.
Oh, the father and son dynamic.
Yes. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. For centuries, people have debated what that hierarchy means. I mean, theologians have argued over this forever. But when you apply Goddard's psychological blueprint to it, it just clicks into place beautifully.
He synthesizes it brilliantly. In this framework, consciousness, the formless, pure awareness of just being the I am, that is the Father.
Okay, so the I am is the Father.
Right. And the Son is whatever you are currently conscious of being. The Son is your specific human identity, your current job, your current limitations. So you as unconditioned awareness are the Father. You as the person listening to this right now, with whatever struggles you currently face, are the Son.
I want to make sure this is crystal clear for you listening because it's a massive concept. Let's use an analogy. Think of it like raw electricity and a household appliance, say a toaster.
Okay, I like this.
The raw, unconditioned, invisible electricity is the Father. It is pure potential. It doesn't have a shape or a form. It is simply I am. When that electricity flows into a toaster, it takes on the limitation and the specific function of the toaster's heat. The toaster is your specific human identity.
Right. The toaster is John Smith or Jane Doe.
Exactly. The toaster is the sun. Now, the electricity and the toaster are entirely one system when they're operating, so I and my Father are one. But the raw electricity is vastly greater, infinitely more powerful, and completely unconditioned compared to the limited function of the toaster. So, my father is greater than I. The conceiver is always greater than its conception.
That is a phenomenal analogy, because before you are conscious of being a specific person, or being poor, or being sick, you are first simply conscious of being. You are first I am. Then you condition that raw electricity, right? You become conscious of being a specific human with specific problems, but you remain the conceiver. You are always greater than your conception.
And Jesus in this model.
Jesus, according to Goddard, was simply a psychological state of consciousness that discovered this truth and declared himself to be one with his own unconditioned awareness of being.
Wow. But I want to pause on the emotional weight of this.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Because understanding the toaster analogy intellectually is one thing, but actually living it is another. Dropping the sun identity, dropping the toaster, is terrifying. To abandon the belief in a God apart from yourself, like a God sitting on a cloud keeping a ledger of your good and bad deeds, it strips away all our comforting excuses.
All of them.
You can no longer blame an external entity's mysterious will for your misfortunes. You can't say, well, God works in mysterious ways.
It is the ultimate existential responsibility. When you realize you are the electricity, not just the toaster, you experience a form of ego death. The toaster, wants to hold on to its story. It wants to complain about being broken. As Goddard says, man is always self-imprisoned or self-freed. And that level of absolute, unvarnished self-responsibility is really hard to swallow.
It is, but it's also the most liberating concept imaginable. Because if you are self-imprisoned by your consciousness, it means the key to the cell is already in your pocket.
Precisely. You don't have to wait for a warden to pardon you.
But this brings up a massive friction point, and I know you... If our consciousness is literally drawing our reality to us right now, why do so many of our desires go unfulfilled?
That's a million-dollar question.
Right. Why are people struggling? Why do millions of sincere, desperate prayers fail every single day?
Goddard does not pull his punches on this. He addresses it with brutal honesty. He writes, and this is a direct quote, "Millions of prayers are unanswered because men pray to a God that does not exist."
Which is a heavy sentence to read. It challenges centuries of tradition.
It does. But he goes on to explain the fatal flaw in traditional prayer. The psychological trap is this: to be conscious of being poor while begging an external God for riches rewards you with exactly what you are conscious of being.
Let's break that down.
Think about the physiological state of begging. What are you actually embodying in that moment? Desperation, lack, panic.
Going back to the mirror, if you are standing in front of the mirror begging the reflection to hand you $1 million, the mirror just faithfully reflects a desperate person begging. It mirrors the lack.
Exactly. Goddard says, prayers to be successful must be claiming rather than begging. If you pray for riches, you must turn from your picture of poverty, deny the evidence of your physical senses, and assume the nature of being wealthy.
Claiming, not begging. And he quotes the biblical instruction for this method, which is, when you pray, go within in secret and shut the door.
The shut door.
Yeah. Now, let's break down the mechanics of this, because this isn't just a metaphor. It's a cognitive pivot. The door is your awareness. Shutting it means actively blocking out the physical sensory data of your current reality. But I struggle with this step, and I know a lot of people do.
It's the hardest part.
If my bank account is at zero, or worse, if I'm holding a foreclosure notice in my hand, my brain's amygdala is firing. I am in survival mode. How does Goddard expect a normal human mind to override acute physical sensory data and just claim to be wealthy? It feels like clinical delusion.
This is exactly where most people fail, because they try to think positive while their nervous system is in a state of sheer panic. You cannot outthink a hijacked amygdala. The friction you are feeling is your brain trying to protect you based on past evidence.
Right.
But Goddard tackles this cognitive dissonance by stating a fundamental law of his model. Signs always follow, they never precede.
Okay, explain the mechanics of that, because that feels like the linchpin.
It is. In Goddard's view, the physical world has no independent reality. It is only a projection. Therefore, you cannot wait for the physical proof, the sign, to allow yourself to feel the relief of the solution. Your brain says, I will feel secure as soon as I see the money. Goddard says, if you wait to see the money to feel secure, you will wait forever.
Wow.
You must generate the internal state of security first. When you generate the consciousness, the physical reality is compelled to mirror it. Signs follow.
It's remarkably similar to how modern neuroscience talks about the reticular activating system, or the RAS, in our brains.
Oh yeah, the filter.
Right. Our brains are bombarded by millions of bits of sensory data every second. To keep us from going insane, the RAS acts as a filter. It only lets through information that matches our internal beliefs and our current focus. So if your internal state is, I am broke and in danger, your brain literally filters out opportunities, solutions, or pathways to wealth because they don't match the internal program. You literally cannot see the signs because your filter is set to poverty.
That's a brilliant modern parallel. Goddard is essentially telling you how to manually reprogram your reticular activating system. When he quotes, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things shall be added unto you," he means, first get the consciousness, the internal filter, and the external things will naturally organize around that new reality. Stop manipulating the physical world and change the filter.
Change the filter. This internal process of claiming a new reality before it exists in the physical world, it sounds exactly like a pregnancy.
Yes.
It sounds like giving birth. The invisible seed is planted, it grows in the dark without any visible proof, and then eventually it is born into the world. And sure enough, Goddard uses the most famous biblical birth story of all time to illustrate this exact cognitive process.
He does. The allegory of the virgin birth. And in Goddard's framework, the story of Mary is not about a historical woman living 2,000 years ago in the Middle East. The story of Mary is the blueprint for every person listening to this right now.
Okay, let's unpack this. How is the listener supposed to relate to the Virgin Mary?
Well, Mary represents your pure awareness of being. Your unconditioned awareness always remains a virgin, no matter how many desires it has previously given birth to.
Because it's just raw electricity.
Exactly. It is always capable of conceiving a new state without any physical external intervention. Think about your biggest, most impossible goal right now. You have no physical reason to believe it's possible. As it says in the text, you know not a man, meaning you don't know the physical how, the means by which your desire could possibly happen.
Yet the conception happens anyway, the immaculate conception.
Exactly. You make your unconditioned awareness your husband. You fuse your awareness with your desire. You internalize the feeling of having it, despite having no physical proof. And once you do this, Goddard lays out strict rules for the gestation period. Rules.
Yeah, rule number 1, the first command given to Mary. Go, tell no man.
Absolute secrecy. Now, why is that so critical? Because modern self-help tells us to shout our goals from the rooftops for accountability, right? Like, tell all your friends so they keep you on track.
What's fascinating here is the deep psychological intelligence of this rule. Discussing your desires with others before they manifest is fatal to the process. Why? Because the people in your life are currently part of your old external projection.
Oh, man, yeah.
If you tell your friends while you are currently broke that you are now internally claiming to be a millionaire, what will they do?
They'll laugh at you or worry about you.
Right. They will look at you with pity or skepticism. They will echo your own deep-seated subconscious fears right back to you. They will trigger your cognitive dissonance and break your newly fragile state of consciousness.
I always think of this like planting a seed in a garden.
Oh, the seed analogy is perfect for this.
If you plant a tomato seed, you know it absolutely requires the dark, private, undisturbed secrecy of the soil to build its root system.
Yes.
If you are so excited about your new tomato plant that you dig up the seed every single afternoon to show your friends how it's doing, the seed will die. It will never sprout. It needs the quiet dark of the shut door. You cannot expose it to the light of other people's opinions or even your own rational, doubting mind.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Goddard aligns this perfectly with the creation story in the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word. He explains that the Word is simply the urge, the unfulfilled desire swimming around in your consciousness-seeking embodiment.
Just a desire.
Right. But an urge by itself has no power. To give it reality, the Word was with God, meaning the desire must be united with your awareness.
So when the Bible says, two shall agree as touching anything and it shall be established on earth, it's not talking about two people making a pact or a prayer circle holding hands.
No, the agreement is strictly internal. It is never between two physical persons. The two are your awareness, your I am, and the thing desired.
If you desire health, you begin to feel yourself to be healthy. The very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. They have fused into one. This internal psychological marriage ever results in the birth of the child, which is the physical manifestation of health.
So the seed is planted in secret. The awareness and the desire are married. But to get to that pure state of conception, to actually feel, I am healthy when your physical body is literally screaming in pain, or to feel wealthy when you are staring at a foreclosure, that requires an immense amount of focus.
Immense.
How do we actively drop our current limiting reality to reach this pure, unconditioned state? Because telling someone to just ignore their pain doesn't work. How do we wipe the slate clean?
Goddard gives very specific, almost meditative instructions for this. He commands the reader to drop the old man. The old man is your current conception of yourself, all your present beliefs, your fears, the amount of money in your bank account, your medical history. These are heavy psychological weights holding you anchored at your current level of consciousness.
Like an anchor.
Yeah, you cannot transcend your reality while gripping tightly to the evidence of it.
You have to let the weights go. But the technique he provides for this is profound in its simplicity, yet incredibly difficult for our overstimulated, undisciplined minds. He says you must take your attention completely away from your problem, turn your back on it entirely, and dwell upon just being.
He instructs you to say silently, but with deep feeling, I am. Do not condition it yet. Don't try to force the feeling of I am rich or I am healthy right away, because your brain will reject it as a lie.
Your amygdala will fire again.
Exactly. Just declare yourself to be. Continue to do so until you are lost in the feeling of simply existing. He calls this state faceless and formless. You reach a point of deep physiological grounding and mental expansion where you literally forget you are the person sitting in the chair with the foreclosure notice. You bypass the survival brain. You become pure, raw electricity.
And then?
Only when you reach that formless deep do you gently condition it with a new feeling of what you desire to be.
So what does this all mean? Like, I really want to ground this for the listener. How do you actually literally do this tonight? How do you turn your back on a massive problem?
What is crucial to understand is that fighting the problem is the absolute worst thing you can do. Fighting a problem acknowledges its power and its reality. If you are struggling against debt, your attention is intensely focused on debt. You are deeply conscious of debt, thereby decreeing more of it.
Right, because you're clawing at the screen.
Exactly. You must withdraw your attention completely. Goddard uses a brilliant metaphor for this cognitive withdrawal. He calls it fishing.
Ah, yeah, the disciples as fishermen.
Exactly. He says that the things you desire are the fish. But you cannot catch these massive fish in the shallow, noisy waters of your current limitations. You have to launch out into the deeper waters of consciousness.
The formless deep.
Right. But to launch out into the deep, you have to slip the anchor that is tying you to the shallows. Your anchor is your fixation on your current problem. By declaring I am and physiologically calming your body, you slip the anchor. You break the neural loop of rumination.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You float out into the formless deep where the big fish swim. Because you have lost all consciousness of your physical barriers in that meditative state, it becomes the easiest thing in the world to feel yourself, to be one with the thing desired. You aren't fighting reality anymore. You've stepped outside of it.
You slip the anchor of your physical senses. You float out into the unconditioned I am. You catch the fish by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Okay, so once you are in that deep water and you have captured the psychological state of the wish fulfilled and you open your eyes, how does it actually arrive in the physical world? Do you just wait for it to drop from the sky?
This brings us to the concept of asking in his name and the absolute inevitability of the harvest. The text quotes, "Whatsoever ye ask in my name, the same give I unto you." Now, Goddard clarifies something here that completely upends traditional religious practice. Name, in this ancient context, does not mean a literal spoken word.
Like just saying the word Jesus.
Right. You cannot just repeat the word God or Jesus or Jehovah with your physical lips and expect reality to bend. Name means nature.
So to ask in his name actually means to ask in his nature.
Precisely. To ask in the name is to rise in consciousness and become one in nature with the thing desired. You must embody the nature of the state you are asking for. He quotes, "I am the vine and ye are the branches." Consciousness is the vine. The qualities you are aware of being, wealth, health, poverty, sickness, are the branches.
And a branch has no life of its own.
A branch has absolutely no life. It cannot bear fruit unless it is rooted in the vine of your consciousness.
This raises an incredibly important question about the impartiality of the system. Does this power care what you ask for? If someone assumes the feeling of a desire that society deems selfish or wrong, does the universe step in and say, no, you can't have that, you haven't earned it?
This raises an important question, yes. And Goddard's stance on this is radically uncompromising. The law is entirely unconditional. He says life does not state if society deems it right or wrong for you to ask it. It rests entirely with you. Do you really want it? Do you desire it? That is all that is necessary. The law of consciousness is completely impartial. It does not possess a moral compass in the human sense.
It's exactly like gravity. Gravity doesn't judge the moral character of the object that is falling. A saint and a criminal will both hit the ground just as hard if they step off a roof. The law of gravity just operates based on mass and distance, and the law of consciousness just faithfully delivers what you internally embody.
This raises an important point about ultimate personal responsibility. If this law is impartial and unconditional, it means you are, at every single moment of your life, drawing into your world exactly what you are conscious of being. There are no accidents.
None at all.
There is no predestined fate written by an external deity testing you. He quotes, "No man comes unto me, save the Father within me draws him." You are drawing every person, every circumstance, every seemingly random coincidence into your reality based on your deep-seated assumptions.
And when you deeply accept that, you realize you don't need to figure out the how. The how is none of your business. Goddard explicitly tells the reader, do not question the how of these things appearing. He says no manifestation knows how the things desired will appear. Your only job is to assume the consciousness.
Because the consciousness is the door through which the physical reality walks in. You don't build the bridge of incidents. Your dimensionally greater self, your unconditioned awareness, builds the bridge perfectly to lead you to the physical fulfillment of your internal claim.
We can't even comprehend the how.
Right, the three-dimensional reasoning mind cannot possibly calculate the infinite variables, the billions of moving parts required to bring a desire to pass in the physical world. If you try to force it, if you try to micromanage the how and force doors open, you introduce effort and doubt. And that instantly breaks the state of the wish fulfilled.
You drop the seed, you dig it up to see how it's growing, and you kill it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You simply claim, I am that, and allow the natural harvest to occur through whatever natural seeming events unfold.
So bringing this all together for you listening, the core takeaway from Goddard's masterpiece is this. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the conceiver of your reality. The external world is merely a canvas reflecting your internal state of being. Your consciousness is the only true power, the only true projector in your universe. And true prayer is not begging an invisible man in the sky to change the movie for you. True prayer is the act of stepping into the state of the wish fulfilled, slipping the anchor of your current limitations, and shutting the door on your physical senses.
It is a profound psychological shift from a passive, externally driven victim mentality to an active, internally driven creator mentality. It is moving from the audience back into the projection booth.
I really encourage you to try this in your daily life. Tonight, or whenever you have a quiet moment, try the shut door technique. Withdraw your attention from the problem that is causing you anxiety. Don't fight it, just gently turn your back on it. Go into the secret place of your own awareness, feel yourself to be faceless and formless, bypass that survival brain, and then boldly claim the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. Plant the seed in secret and leave it alone.
And as you do, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Building on a phrase we discussed earlier, Goddard explicitly states, signs follow, they never precede. Think about your own life right now. Think about how often we put our lives on hold, waiting for a sign from the universe to tell us we are on the right track, or to prove to us that our desire is actually coming.
We do it all the time.
All the time. But what if the very act of looking for a sign is the exact psychological mechanism that prevents your desire from manifesting?
Because looking for proof implies, at your core, that you do not believe you already have it. If you are constantly scanning the horizon for a sign that you are wealthy, your true underlying filter, your consciousness, is one of doubt and lack. You are back to clawing at the movie screen. You've walked out of the projection booth. If you truly knew that your internal state was the only reality, you wouldn't need a sign. You would simply rest in the quiet knowledge that it is already done.
A deeply provocative thought indeed. It really challenges us to trust our internal world completely.
Well, this has been an incredible journey into the depths of the mind and the mechanics of reality. Thank you for sitting at the table with us today and for exploring the projection booth with us. Keep your door shut, plant your seeds in secret, and we'll catch you next time.